Hey guys, this is Anthony Munda helping you ace your fitness, and today we're going to be talking about how to calculate your own calories and macros for weight loss. So this is a common question I get, it's more of like a where do I start kind of thing. I have no ideas, I haven't been tracking. So here I'm going to give you a quick formula that you can use, and this is also what I use for Kyle when he, the last couple of days when he started his journey. This is how I determine the calories that he needs to cut on right now. Just keep in mind with this, you're always going to have to be reassessing your calories, your macros all throughout your diet, because as your body weight changes, your caloric maintenance changes, meaning the amount of food you're going to be able to eat is going to keep going lower and lower as you lower your body weight. So without further ado, I want to get right to it because I've watched a lot of videos on this and I think a lot of them are a little bit too long. So here we go. So before we start, so for reference, we want to know that 1 gram of protein is 4 calories, 1 gram of fat is 9 calories, and 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories. So keep that in mind throughout. Okay, so the first thing you want to do in calculating your own macros or calories is get your body weight. So for Kyle, his beginning weight is 370. Easy as that, okay? All right, now you want to determine your activity level. So for activity level, I want to go on a scale from 13 to 17. Now, I will say with that number, that can't be used for everyone. I think with the obese or significantly overweight population, you want to use a number like 10 to 12. Reason being, if you multiply 370 by either 13 or 17, that's, I think by 13 that's like around like 4,800 calories. While Kyle probably could lose weight on that amount of calories, that's a lot of food to be eating, especially when you're eating nutrient-dense foods. So what I'm gonna do, or what I did, is I started him out. I gave his activity level a 10. Now going back to the 13 or 17. So to determine that, you can really use a lot of guesswork, but an easy way to think about it is multiply your body weight by 13 if you have a sedentary job and you don't work out, or if you work out, they're very light workouts. 17 is if you have a very physically demanding job and your workouts are like super intense. So for example, that'd be like a EMT or a firefighter and you do CrossFit, 7 days a week. Someone with an activity level of 13 maybe has a desk job and they do maybe only 30 minutes of exercise 3 times a week. And then everything in between, you can kind of just use your own judgment and adjust, accordingly if you're losing weight, if you're not losing weight. So we're gonna do 370 times 10, which is 3,700. Now that 3,700 number is what we're gonna call our maintenance. Now, is that gonna be spot on for everyone? Is that spot on even for Kyle? No, I mean, I wish there was a way to get your, exactly without any, I wish it was foolproof. We could all have our caloric maintenance, like pat down. But in my experience, for his body weight and his activity level, 37 probably would be a good maintenance number, meaning that's kind of around the calories he's eating per day. So that's what we're going to do, 3,700. So that's kind of like your base amount of calories. So from there, you want to decrease that to create a caloric deficit. So you can do a 200 to 500 calorie decrease. Okay, so 200, 500, what one should I do? So a lot of people, they go to 500 automatically. That's okay, but I'm gonna, so you might want to consider 200, and I'm gonna give you a couple options here. So a 200 calorie decrease is if you're already lean. So if you don't have a lot of body fat to shed, or if you don't have a lot of weight to shed, you want to lose weight on the most amount of calories as possible, because if you just skip to that 500 calorie decrease, you might be setting yourself up for some pretty extreme poverty macros at the end of your diet. So maybe you want to start with 200, or say you're prepping for a show or something where you really want to take a slow approach and you have time to mess around with your diet and adjust it accordingly, 200 would be good. Now for 500, I would say a 500 calorie decrease should be if you want to do an aggressive cut or if you're already obese or significantly overweight. So my reasoning for a 500 calorie decrease when you're significantly overweight is, like I mentioned, if I only did 200 here, if I only subtracted 200 from 3,700, he'd be eating 3,500 calories a day. And while that's possible, that's a lot of food when he's now going to be eating more nutrient dense foods as opposed to, you know, your regular like junk food. They're a lot less calorically dense, so it would be pretty hard to get around 3,500. So we're actually going to start with 3,200. Okay, so if you wanted to stop there, if you only want to count your calories to lose weight, that's a good place for that. So we'll go ahead and fill this in. 3,200 calories to create a caloric deficit. And again, you're always adjusting that. So that's good and all, but I know you want to know your macros as well. And those are very easy to figure out. I have a very simple formula for you. Okay, so here we go. So protein. You want to take your body weight if you're relatively lean, but again, if you're significantly overweight or obese, you want to take your goal body weight. Okay, so for Kyle, I kind of picked his form, so we're going to say around 200. And then what you want to do with that number is multiply it by 0.8 to 1.0. All right, now you can kind of use your own judgment here, but for him, I'm just going to multiply it by 1, so he's going to be having 200 grams of protein. So that one's very simple, and you want to knock that one out first because, like I said, that one's super simple. So next we're going to move on to your fats. So for fats, you're going to take your body weight and multiply it by either 0.2 to 0.5. All right, so 0.2 or 0.5. 0.2 if you're significantly overweight or if you don't like a lot of fats in your diet. So if you're not a big fan of bacon, nut butter, avocados, eggs, do 0.2. If you're relatively lean, you're focused on performance, or if you like fats in your diet, go with 0.5. I generally like to recommend somewhere in between. That's just my own personal recommendation, but like I said, in Kyle's case, since he's carrying a lot of weight right now, we're going to go ahead and do 0.2. And that's going to give us 74. Don't do odd numbers with this because that will make, you know, tracking super difficult. So I'm just going to call that 70 grams. Okay? So we got our fats, we got our protein already. So super simple. Now remember in the beginning I mentioned this right here. So protein 4 calories a gram, fat 9 calories a gram, carbs 4 calories per gram. So to figure out your carbs, what you're gonna do is actually take your protein and take your fat, multiply them by their respective calorie amounts, and you're gonna see what you're gonna get here. So carbs, you're gonna take 200 grams, or 200 times 4, and then you're gonna take, so that's 800, and then you're gonna take 70 times 9. And then what you're gonna do with those two numbers is add them up. Okay, so that's how many calories you're getting from carbs and protein. So basically what you're gonna wanna do from here, super easy, you're just gonna fill in the rest amount of your calories with carbs. So to do that, or to figure that out a little bit more easily, you're gonna take the number that you created a caloric deficit with, which in Kyle's case would be 3,200, and then you're gonna subtract this number here. So the amount of calories you're getting from your proteins and your fats. So that would be 1,770 calories. So that's how many calories you have left of that 3,200. So like I mentioned before, every carb, or 1 gram per carb, is 4 calories. So what you're gonna do with this number is divide it by 4, and you're gonna get, I believe it's like 442. I went ahead and called that 450. So there it is. So his starting macros are 200 grams of protein, 70 grams of carbs, and 70 grams of fat, and 450 grams of carbs. Now, those are pretty high numbers, but you got to remember Kyle's a pretty big guy, so if you're yourself significantly overweight, you're gonna have high numbers to start out with. But that's actually that's an advantage, because you're not gonna feel hungry for a while. But I think that's a very simple way of figuring out your macros, nice and quick. I hope this helped you guys, because I feel like you don't really know where to start when considering how to do this. So nice and easy formula for you guys. If you guys have any other questions, if I can clarify anything else, I'd be happy to do so. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. I got a lot of good feedback on the first video. You guys are all supporting Kyle, and man, he's excited. Like, he's told me, like, man, like, I know I can do this behind this like community. So he's super stoked about your guys' support, and so am I. I can't wait to see his transformation, and just mentally and physically, like I talked about in the last video. So just stay with us on this journey. Keep checking out my videos. I'm gonna be putting other topics in between this Watch Him Transform series. So don't get it twisted. I'm still gonna put out tons of information. So if you're not already subscribed, consider that. Make sure you like this video, and as always, remember, the process is always greater than the prize.